From 17 once again, introducing you to my Halo 4 Legendary difficulty video walkthrough. This is mission 3, and this is the second sequence inside of it. So in the previous video I was speaking about the new armor abilities that are going to be aiding you in your battle against, these new foes and these old enemies. And one of them I mentioned was the auto turret, and the auto turret is a really useful tool, and one thing that I really like to do with it is use it literally like, Arnold Schwarzenegger does the holographic version of himself in Total Recall. Just use it to sheerly get the jump on your enemies. And not only can you do this by dropping it somewhere, flanking, and then, destroying them, but it shoots them as well. And it doesn't do the most damage, but it does enough damage. And another opportunity to use this turret that's really effective is when you're taking on one of the night guys, and for instance you shoot at him with an entire clip of your light rifle, and his shield pops, but you've got to reload, and that guy's going to run and hide to try and get his shield back, because that's what they're programmed to do. Everybody seems to praise it for being intelligent. I just call it a giant bitch. And if you let out the turret in that moment, or if you've already let him out, it will continue to shoot at the guy while you get a fresh clip in, and then you finish them off. And it can definitely save you some really awkward moments. Speaking of awkward moments, I'm now stuck between 3 elites and the door, and I do not have the ammo to sponge all their faces, so I try something a little bit creative here. And this is actually a really good example of one of the things I hate in gaming. This is not just Halo. A lot of games do this. It's to do with how the AI works. Because the player's character takes precedence over everything, when you have two neutral factions fighting each other and you turn up, as soon as you make a noise, everybody starts shooting you. And this happens on every game. Like, they seriously haven't figured out a strong way of making it work, and it's a shame, because there is nothing more frustrating than getting behind a bunch of soldiers, shooting at another enemy. You start picking off the enemy with those guys, and they don't know you're there, and immediately, mid-combat, they all spin round and kill you. It's a little frustrating, and it happens in this game, so never ever trust a situation. But this is another one of those night guys. He's got plenty of those sentries, and you need to always kill the sentries first. My ammo isn't great at this moment in time, and my sidearm is a shotgun, which is even less so. But never fear, you do have the tools to succeed, even if it looks rough. This shotgun, like I say, up close is completely lethal, and there on the floor is a light rifle, which is one of the most useful assault rifles in the game. And this guy wants to throw grenades at me. The grenade I should probably talk about. I can't remember its name, guys. Like I say, I've pretty much done nothing but play Legendary twice in a row in the space of the last 2 days, and everything else has been editing in this. But the grenade itself, it damages you on when it lands. If you stay in the force field, it reduces your shield and deals damage, and then it explodes, dealing subsequent damage. The only thing with it is it doesn't seem to be enough to really kill you unless you get sloppy or you get caught. Because the only times it's ever really killed me is when it first lands or when it blows up afterwards. The in-between period doesn't seem to do enough damage. So they're not the most lethal of grenades or the most useful, but grenades themselves as a whole have actually took a big nerf in this game. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but they just don't seem to blow up the same way they used to. And this is good and bad at the same time. The reasons I personally think it's good is the amount of enemies on Legendary that throw grenades and how accurate they are with them is kind of bullshit. Like, the amount of times on previous Halo games where I've been killed by grenades, I get killed more by grenades than I ever have being shot or being beat down, because the grenades are just so vicious. And now that they've nerfed them, I don't seem to die as much from the grenades, but at the same time, I don't seem to get those, cluster kills of spawning enemies. Like when a door opens and there's a bunch of guys there and you throw a sticky and it sets off a chain reaction and all that kind of stuff. You don't seem to get those moments anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but it's a gameplay conceit that I can put up with. And this sequence right now is another balls to the wall area. you have to deactivate a bunch more of those cores, and this one is even rougher than the last one. So you'll notice I gunned it in here on the Ghost, I jumped immediately in the hole, shot the energy source, reloaded my shit, and this is literally what I'm going to do now, guys. I've said that word like 5 times. I don't know why. Your brain does funny things when you're talking to yourself. But I'm going to be chasing checkpoints now. That's all I'm doing. I'm not focusing on killing enemies. I'm focusing on getting to the waypoints, shooting those cores, and chasing checkpoints. Everything else is secondary. And you'll notice I could die at any moment. And believe you me, guys, when you try this, you possibly will. But this is video proof that this method can work, and it is, in my opinion, the most effective way of getting through this area, because there's a lot of shit above me. And at the start, they want you to steal the Banshee from the elite, and then kill the other Banshees with the Banshee, and probably, you know, do a siege on this entire area. And if you do that correctly, and, you know, you manage your resources, you can probably have... It'll be a long war of attrition, but you can probably do this place that way. I personally did not have the patience for that. I kept getting screwed in the air by stuff on the ground shooting me, and I just kind of thought, fuck it. I'm going to go Charles Bronson on these guys, and it just so happened that it worked. But a lot of mixed opinions about this game in the comments I've been seeing so far. I haven't really had all that many comments to say which one is the consensus, but a lot of people calling the game standard Halo, some people calling it boring, other people who are pretty much big into Halo are saying they enjoy it, some people saying it's a little bit too short. You see, I think it's difficult to be surprised by this game, mainly because it treads in the footsteps of a lot of other titles. There's been a lot of Halo games, and if you're a Halo fan, you've played a lot of Halo games. It's just what it is. And the real question I would propose to anybody who's even on the fence about buying this game, or, you know, doesn't want to follow the reviews, doesn't want to pay too much attention, you've got to really say to yourself, is Halo enough? Is the gameplay that you know and love from Halo the reason you play Halo? Is, you know, a bunch of troped storylines thrown in the batch, a new enemy, some new guns, some, you know, some skin redesigns, some fancy visual effects, is that enough to get you back playing Halo again? And if that answer is yes, then you'll probably really enjoy this game. If you're the person that thinks that Halo's formula has always been kind of boring, kind of, you know, hit and miss, then this game is going to do nothing but further anger you, because it doesn't do anything different. And I don't want to sound like that's a negative, because it really is a subjective thing. The fact the game doesn't do anything, you know, massively different, sticks to its roots of being a Halo game, and is going to please a lot of people. But to somebody who perhaps is burnt out on the series and is waiting for the Call of Duty 4 equivalent of the Halo series, this game is not it. And it makes me wonder what the next title's going to be, because 353 have now established themselves. They've now shown that they can put out a good property, a solid piece of work based in the universe. They've took it to a slightly different direction. They now need to knock it out of the park. They now need to mix everything up. It needs to be Halo, but not like we know it. And I do believe if the next game comes out and it's literally this again, couple new enemies, couple new guns, you know, couple fancy textures, it's not going to be enough. Will that stop people buying it, and will that stop it from being a good game? No, I don't think it will. Because just look at Call of Duty. For good, for better or for worse, Call of Duty is a good game. It's just a game that is able to, shall we say, get lazy in the way it presents itself, because, you know, the audience demand is so high. And Halo is very similar, but nowhere near as huge when it comes to how much it makes money-wise, financially. And I think it would be very sad if Halo went the same direction that a lot of the first-person shooters now are going, where they just keep on, you know, churning them out like some kind of fucking assembly line. And I just hope that 343 have the guts to do something vastly different after this one. And that's probably as you know, as fair as you can be with this kind of thing, because you either like Halo or you don't at this point. There's been so much out there for you to decide, and this is just further elaborating on either what you liked or what you hated. I'm on the fence personally, because it's never really been a game I've played, but like a lot of games that perhaps aren't to my taste, you have to respect them because it's a good, solid game. This sequence here, by the way, this does not always work this way. I had a lot of trouble getting this run, but it seemed like the smartest thing to do. Occasionally you will get other enemies that will flank up the sides and finish you off while you're waiting for your life to come back, and this door wouldn't seem to open. I don't know what triggers it. I'm not quite too sure how close to it you have to be, so I thought I had to kill some more enemies. So I come on this little corner here, start shooting with the shotgun, kind of pray to myself, and I don't know if you heard that, but the door just opened. So the door is open behind me and I hadn't a bloody clue. But instead I'm going to shoot some enemies, waste some ammo, and waste some people's time. But the positives to take from that situation are stealth kill those two guys on the left, and then you should be able to get through the door without further incident. Come on, Chris, what are you doing? These are busy people, they want to get back and play. Oh, I'm going to execute him too. And there's the doorway. And there's the obligatory ammo shelf. So everyone's going to have their own preference with weapons, as I've already mentioned. I like to have one of these kind of assault rifles as a main, and then the secondary is situational, if anything. Like this moment here, there's a couple of these grunts, and I wanted to get a plasma pistol off them because I know to my left there's going to be a bunch of those knights, and the noob combo works a treat on them. And when there's a couple of them, it's the fastest way to kill them, I believe. There's one over there. That's the grenade I just mentioned. Did you notice how it did damage to the elite, but it didn't kill him? And I don't know why that bad guy there was just kneeling down, chilling out. I think he thought he was behind a piece of cover, and he actually wasn't. Very strange. But be careful here, because this is an enemy that I've not mentioned yet. This is a bastard of an enemy. The guy on the bridge, you see him just there. Did you notice how his face started to light up? It was like a circle of red. If you see that circle of red, you need to be in cover. Because essentially, he has a pocket Spartan laser. It's a new weapon called the binary rifle. And it takes a couple seconds to charge, and then he fires. When you pick the rifle up, it doesn't take any time to charge, I don't believe. But do you see him charging it up there? You're dancing with death. I should not have stayed out of cover as long as I did. I got very lucky there, because the computer has perfect aim, and it is a one-shot kill. It is... I cannot stress enough how much it hurts. You don't even see the damage register on screen. You just go to third-person view, and you get turned into a Rice Krispie. It's really bad. But there's not too many of them in the game, and they are balanced quite well, because they're just as weak as the other guys, they just have a really good gun. And the coolest thing about knowing that that guy is there, I now know I can pick his weapon up and kill his brothers with it, which is kind of Cain and Abel, but it works.
You need to hear this.
So that's another one with a binary rifle. I put the shield up to stop him from hitting me with it, and then I finish him with the shotgun. That actually worked surprisingly well, but I couldn't tell if he shot me or not. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know, you make do with what you have. But that's the end of the second section, guys. I hope it's helping, and you take care now.